An unexpected face at Trump Tower in New York yesterday. Climate change activist, former Vice President Al Gore met with Donald Trump yesterday, just weeks after saying that the president-elect would, quote, take us toward a climate catastrophe.
The bulk of the time was with President-elect Donald Trump. I found it an extremely interesting conversation and to be continued.
Let's bring in political analyst Erin McPike on this. Erin, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So what do you make of Gore's meeting with Trump?
Well, look, we know that Donald Trump is a public relations genius, right? And it seems that he might be just trying to buy himself cover with the media and other critics because he is populating his transition team and likely his administration with a number of oil and gas executives who are climate change skeptics as well.
So you think this is just PR and marketing then? I mean,
I think it might be, absolutely.
Is that a waste of time, Dagan? What are we doing here?
That was my reaction when I saw Al Gore trotting into Trump. He was at Trump Tower, right? The biggest issue and the biggest lie that people on the left perpetuate in this country is that if they want energy to be green, as they say, that it's a huge tax on people. It's a tax on the people who can least afford it. We use fossil fuels because it makes economic sense.
Right.
And if they're going to make this giant shift to green energy in any way, shape, or form, it means people in this country will have to pay a lot more for going places.
But I wonder,
and that's the one thing that everybody
solar's not going to fly an airplane, right?
Right, and we did we tried a lot of subsidies with solar with the Obama administration that went belly up. But I wonder if this is just a PR move when we know that for Ivanka, this is one of her #1 issues, and she was in that meeting. And of course, we know that the president-elect highly regards his daughter.
And we have been asking throughout the campaign, what are Donald Trump's core beliefs? What issues is he going to back away from? He called global warming, the global warming idea, a hoax. Is he actually going to back away from that and try to make some moves through Ivanka to address the
And I
issue?
wonder if some of they said that they were trying to find common ground, if maybe conservation could be a place where Donald Trump and Al Gore find that common ground.
Erin, what do you think?
Well, look, we did hear last month that Donald Trump also told the New York Times that he has an open mind about climate change. So there are certainly areas where he probably is looking to coordinate with more liberals like Al Gore on climate change. But, you know, we don't know yet. I mean, we have to hear what Donald Trump says of this meeting, too.
Yeah.
But one of President Obama's many issues that he's tackled through rules and regulations is making the federal buildings green and setting these new standards for federal buildings. I think it's by 2020 maybe that all these federal buildings have to spend ungodly amounts of taxpayer dollars being more energy efficient and green. That's potentially something President Trump should be looking at rolling back or at least easing back off on. And I wonder with this meeting with Al Gore,
or he could do it to throw the greenies a bone, frankly, to say, we'll do this at the, for these federal buildings.
I think that's what Erin is saying.
Yeah, then he'll throw that bone. I think the real sort of proof in the pudding, if you want to put it that way, will be his EPA, his choice for EPA administrator. And will that person actually start rolling back
I think when it comes to production in the United States, it's very clear that he's going to be pursuing that. But what about other issues like taxes? Is he going to try to tax imported oil? I mean, he wants to go to take steps against the U.S. trade deficit. Are there steps he could take on that front?
Yesterday, the White House took issue with Trump for his phone call with the president of Taiwan, Erin. They said it could undermine China relations. Now, White House spokesperson Josh Earnest said that national security officials spoke with Beijing twice over the weekend to reassure the country of Washington's commitment to the one China policy following that call with Donald Trump. But in an interview with Fox News, President Obama's former national security advisor, retired Marine General Jim Jones, had this to say about the call. Listen, I want to get your reaction, Erin.
That didn't bother me. I think, the purists are, flapping their wings and, saying all kinds of things. Why they can't have a 5-minute conversation or whatever it was to say congratulations doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But so it didn't bother me.
So what about that, Erin? I mean, is this call being blown out of proportion? Was this the right strategy? Was it calculated? What's your take?
Well, you know, we don't know because we've heard two different things come out of the Trump team and from Republicans saying people are overblowing this. Even Bob Corker said, you know, this was just a congratulatory call. On the other hand, you are seeing transition officials say they knew exactly what they were doing. I would point out that yesterday, Josh Earnest also said, look, if the president-elect has a different approach, then his team needs to lay out what that is. And look, it is clear that Donald Trump is going to have a different approach to China. Absolutely, from everything he has said throughout the campaign.
And if you were a Chinese official taking the phone call from this White House, knowing they're only going to be here for 6 more weeks, would you be reassured by saying, oh, we're going to keep this one China policy, rather? You know, Donald Trump, he campaigned as a new kind of president.
Well, this is certainly a new way. It was after the fact, it was the communications issue about what you heard from some of his surrogates. Was it intentional or not? And just stick with that. If it's intentional, then good on him, because again, he's taking a step away. You know, he's laying down the law with China, so to speak, in terms of like, hey, we're going to take the upper hand. We talked about this yesterday. Peter Navarro, one of his surrogates who's been on this program before, has pushed for cabinet level meetings or visits to Taiwan and into our kind of kowtowing to the one China policy. But if that's what it is and it was intentional, then just say it.
I can appreciate Donald Trump being a bit coy on that issue. He said, well, hey, they called me, because there are real diplomatic stakes.
Wasn't it set up?
There was reporting that it was set up, but there are real diplomatic stakes. If you remember, George Bush, his first term in office, his first couple of months in office, had a major China crisis when one of our Navy planes was clipped by one of Chinese jets in the air. I don't know if you remember, but it landed, and then the Chinese, held our people hostage for 10 days. So they do have the potential to make trouble if they're riled up.
I think he has an incentive to keep the Chinese off balance right now as they try to figure him out. If he's going to be trying to negotiate better trade deals with China, why not leave a little mystery about where he's going with this, and let them react to him instead of him reacting to them?
We'll see. Erin, good to see you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Erin McPike joining us there. Be sure to